What's going on, guys? It's Kyle again with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today we are going to be doing the full review of this guy. This is the Freeman 451 button lock. This one happens to be a USA-made blade exclusive. Very cool knife. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like knife content, gear content, stuff like that, please please consider hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to see more of stuff like this, we do uploads almost every single day, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. The first thing I want to do is thank the person who sent this knife in for review. This was sent in by my good buddy Ryan, aka Stud Fishing. This guy has one hell of a collection, and he sent a lot of them to the channel for review, this being one of them, and I love him so much for doing so. He is a super cool guy, and we have talked quite a bit. He is one of my first subscribers to the channel, and yeah, I love him dearly. This knife in particular, just look at it. So the Freeman 451 button lock has been making some waves. They have quite a few iterations of this knife. This one just happens to be a USA-made blade exclusive. And some of these exclusives that they do are really cool because, as you can see, it has the American flag. And we all know I am a patriot. I love this country. I love America. And so this really tickles my fancy. Very well done on the engraving. This is not laser engraved. This is actually engraved with a tool, and really, really cool. This one also is in full tie. They do have them in a bunch of other different variations with inlays and all that stuff. This is totally the one that I would pick for myself. And of course, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a button lock. And button locks are the most fun knives that you can have. If you don't own a button lock, you need to, because as far as the fidget factor and just being very, very fun to play with, a button lock is that in a nutshell. This one, as you can see, is a two-tone blade, and if you've never seen one of these before, you're going to be looking at that blade going, what the hell is that? Yes, those are, I guess, I don't know what you call them, maybe scallops, you know, or whatever, but this one is actually, before heat treat, they do milling to create that pattern on the blade. I have heard different rumors about why that is. Does it help with certain cutting tasks or whatever? But I want to say that coming from Jeff Freeman, it was mainly an aesthetics deal. And it does make for a cool blade. It's a different looking thing. I have seen other blades with similar kind of milling on them, but and I think it really does look cool. I will say that it does seem to help with cutting thicker things, you know, like cardboard or whatever. I think it actually does kind of get the materials out of the way a little bit better. So yeah, so there is some functional characteristic, but English is hard for me, of this particular grind and milling pattern. And then there's also some takeaways, because it's obviously not going to be a slicing machine. This one is wearing USA, baby, S45 VN blade steel, which is super cool. I only have one other knife in S45 VN blade steel, and that is the Spartan Blades Spartan Horsey folder. I have really been happy with the steel, but I haven't used it enough to really tell you how much better it is than S35 VN. But hey, it's got to be at least 10 better, right? So anyways, you know, premium blade steel. I like that. I love the two-tone look of this thing. The fit and finish, what they do is amazing. And of course, being a button lock flipper, like I said, very, very fidgety. This one does have a little cutout here, which, of course, you guys know me. I love doing the reverse flick, and it allows you to do the reverse flick with ease. And so that is how I mainly opened this blade, and that so makes me happy. Yeah, it carries very well, as you know, pretty good as well. It has one of these pocket clips that not a lot of people are a fan of, because this is kind of the definition of having a lanyard hole take precedence over the pocket clip, because the lanyard hole is way back here, and so that drops down the pocket clip, so you do have quite a bit of knife sticking up out of your pocket. If you guys are subscribed to me, you know that I don't have to have that. Sometimes I prefer it to actually stick out because of me being able to grab it out of my pants. This one is I guess you would qualify this as kind of a hard use tactical maybe kind of knife. I don't really know how they do it, but it is definitely built so well. Jeff Freeman does such a great job. All American made company, so you gotta love that. Of course, that raises the price up. This, they're not all about this expensive, but this particular version and some of the exclusives run around $395, so, it's not a cheap knife, that is for sure, but I do think it's worth it. It is a very, very well-made knife. Now, it is not a small knife. This thing comes in at 8.8 inches overall with a close length of 5.1. It has a width on the handle of about 600 thousandths. You have a blade length of 3.7 and a weight of about 6.5 ounces for this full type version. The blade's thickness is about 156 thousandths or so. So yeah, it's got plenty of blade to do what you want and what you need with a 3.7 inch blade. Holy crap, yes, you got plenty of the reach. Now, this thing, how's the ergonomics? The ergonomics are great for somebody with my hand size. You have a very generous choil here that allows you to grip the knife, not feel like it's going to go anywhere. It does have jimping on the back, on both spots, on top of the blade, and on top of the scales, and on top of the blade itself. It does feel comfortable. It is not overly sharp. By no means. It is comfortable in each grip that you put this thing in. So ergonomically, it is a win. You definitely have the finger or the flipper tab acts as a guard. So if you're doing any kind of piercing task, I can choke up on this blade. I don't know if it's really meant for that because it's not really a finger troll, but I can get one knuckle behind it and get behind the blade and really feel comfortable in that particular grip. So I do appreciate that, even though it's really not meant to be a finger troll. So yeah, another thing people may or may not like, I don't mind it at all. I usually don't like really big branding on the knife, and as you can see, boom, Freeman, very big engraved font for that, and of course the USA and S45VN. A lot of people are not going to like that. I do not mind it because I love to be able to pull something out of my pocket and people know it's USA, baby. But it is kind of big. I know why people are not going to like it. So it's just one of those things. But as far as the branding, it doesn't bother me. Let's go ahead and put it up against some staples for size comparison. Here it is against the Spyderco PM2. And here it is against the Para 3. So as you can see, it is a large knife. A lot of people consider the PM2 to be a large knife. I carry that size and bigger. So for me, the 8.8 inches of the Freeman works great for me. The 6.5 ounces also might be a little bit much for most folks in the EDC world, as for that purpose anyways. But if you are looking at this knife, you already know all that. I also have two button locks right now that we will compare this to. One is mine. This is the Spartan Blades Payless. And as you can see, the Freeman is just a little bit bigger, just a tad, than the Payless. And then, of course, I've got the big, huge beast of a knife, the ADV Pit Boss 2, which is also loaned in from Mr. Stud Fishing, because he is just an awesome dude. And as you can see, the Pit Boss dwarfs them both. We will have a review on this guy coming up soon, and there is already a review of the Spartan Knives Payless on the channel. But as far as button locks go, this one, I did a review on button locks in general. I had a few on the channel at the time, and so this one won it for me as far as one of my favorite button locks, and still to this day it works. I can reverse flick this one with the thumb studs. The flipping action on this one is good, but it's not great. It's definitely not something that fires out with the with the flipping action, but with the thumb studs or the reverse flick, it definitely does. Very comfortable, but the Freeman, as far as that is concerned, is definitely a better flipper. It flips out of there much better than the Spartan. So if you like using the flipper tab, and if it's there, it's nice to be able to make it work right, and it does. It works perfectly. And then you can also do the reverse flick with the hole. So as far as the action is concerned, I mean, look at this. I mean, you hit the button. I mean, it closes like crazy. Now, also, it does kind of bounce back like a lot of other button locks if you don't just time it right. So that is the thing, but it doesn't take long to kind of get that down. And then, of course, compared to the Pit Boss is really, as far as the flipping action, there is no failing this flipping action on the Pit Boss. Just a much larger knife, as you can see. But yeah, so the Freeman is kind of in between these two. And so all of them, in my opinion, are harder use knives that just give you the fidgetability of a button lock. And it's just the best of all worlds as far as being, overbuilt, so really tough, looks great, and is fidgetable. Golly, I can't talk tonight. So yeah, it's just that good. And of course, USA made, guys. We want to support our USA makers, and this is a definite one to look for because this is the first Freeman knife that I have had. They make some fixed blades on the channel, and so it really tickles my fancy as far as button locks go. I really have enjoyed this knife in the pocket. Now, the pocket clip works amazingly. Like I said, it doesn't sit deep carry, but it does work really well in all the pants that I tried it in. And so, yeah, it's one of those that doesn't sit deep, but works phenomenal. It does not create a hot spot in your hand with this little swoop up right here. You can't feel that at all. Golly, the ergonomics are just wonderful on this knife. Locks you in, and yeah. So the only thing other than that pocket clip that might bother some people, you have a spanner bit, for the pivot. It's not a problem for me because spanner bits are cheap, so you don't really. It shouldn't be a problem for most. I know a lot of people kind of harp on that, but you can buy spanner bits for cheaper than dirt, man, and take this thing apart and, of course, clean it. I have not done that. It is not my knife, so I'm not going to do that. But it come way super centered. Didn't have to adjust this, obviously, at all. Haven't touched it. It has the kind of the Hinder-esque back spacers on this guy. So, yeah, I just really like this knife. It does have some flaws that a lot of people are going to harp at. Big billboarding, a lot of jimping that some people do and do not like. Not a deep carry pocket clip, but if you're looking for a kind of a harder use knife that you want to be able to fidget with, yeah, this is pretty damn good. If I had more time to be able to kind of put these two together to tell you which one I'd rather have, I would need more time, but I got to get this back. So it's one of those things where I still am in love with my Payless and the ergonomics of that. I kind of feel like the ergonomics on the Payless, but not Payless, excuse me, work better for my hand size. And then the button, it's almost every button lock has a little bit of what they call button stick, where let me see if you can hear it. So it kind of has that little bit of a stick. It's a little bit less on the Payless, the Palace, whatever you want to call it. I keep going back and forth. So it definitely feels a little bit smoother there. But like I said, that's probably not as bad. Like the button stick on this doesn't bother me at all. It bothers me more so that the flipping action on the Payless is not as good as the Freeman. It whips out there with authority like it should. So anyways, guys, that's about it for this. I really have enjoyed it in my pocket, and holy crap, am I sad to see it go. But thank you so much, Mr. Studfishing, for allowing me to do this. Guys, if you haven't seen my unboxing that Studfishing sent me, definitely go check it out. We have so many awesome freaking knives that this guy has in his collection that we are going to be reviewing. So definitely check that out. Stay safe in this crazy world that we're living in, and we will see you in the next one.